Hey everyone, welcome back to KDX Bricks Analytics. This is where we talk all things LEGO investing and reselling, and let's do another tier list. That was fun in the last video. We're going to continue on with our 6-month cumulative table. All of the sets that are highlighted we covered in the last video. So we're going to run our random number generator and pick 25 more sets for this tier list. The first random number is 37. Here on my enthusiasm score and mentions table, I've got all of the sets numbered, so let's scroll down to number 37, and that is the Mercedes Speed Champions 2-pack. It has 10 mentions and an enthusiasm score of 2.2. That seems about right. It's not one of the most popular or the highest buzz Speed Champions sets out there, but Speed Champions, most of them historically have done well, so 10 mentions seems pretty reasonable. And then a slightly lower than average enthusiasm score also seems reasonable. Here it is on Brickset, some good data and some not so good data. A 4.3 rating is pretty decent, $35, so less than $20 per vehicle when the new 8-stud wide cars are going for $27. So it's a very good price. I realize that the F1 car obviously is a little lighter, has few less pieces, but this one will have just under a 3-year shelf life. I know we've looked at the past Speed Champions a million times, but pretty much all of the 8-stud wides have gone up in value something, and some obviously a lot more than others, but scrolling through, there's quite the variety and quite the collection that you can now build with all of these 8-stud wides. And of course, it looks like LEGO is not slowing down, coming out with more of these 8-stud wide Speed Champions. They just announced the NASCAR Next Gen, the F40, that is great. Another Aston Martin 2-pack, this new Mercedes AMG, concept car, Gran Turismo. It's a great time to be a Speed Champions collector and fan. I do get them all and build them for personal collection also. So this is one theme that I get one of for myself, and then I get more if they're on really good discount for investing. So with all that, I'm going to put this in the second tier, which I warmly call first loser. That's my racing reference. If you're not first, then you're last. Back to the random number generator. The second set is number 35 on our list. That's the Daily Bugle. I have this one highlighted not because I covered it last set, but because I accidentally let this one into the list, and it is not expected to retire at the end of this year. That's why it doesn't have an R in parentheses in front of the set number and name. So in this video, every time we roll a random number that we've already covered, I'm just going to go to the next set that is higher on the table. That's the Batmobile Batman versus the Joker. 11 mentions, enthusiasm score of 1.7. This is a really interesting set, and it is completely dividing the investment community. There's not many people in the middle. There are some that are really going to invest in it, and there are others that are absolutely avoiding it. The folks that are excited about investing in it will point out that it has less than a 1.5-year shelf life. That's pretty good. And that it is a really well designed and built Batmobile. It comes with minifigures, so it's in the play scale minifigure size. A 4.2 on Brickset is decent, but then the investors that are avoiding this set are saying, hey, almost $50 is really expensive for 438 pieces. The two minifigures, yeah, maybe one of them is unique or has some unique elements, but it's not like Batman and Joker are that scarce at all. They are produced all of the time. And they're pointing out that some previous Batmobiles have done really well, but some in the past have not, and maybe we're starting to hit Batmobile fatigue. For me, I'm strongly leaning against investing in it, so I'm going to put it in the fourth loser column. It's not quite the bottom for me. I'm sure there are worse sets out there, and if this one was on a 50% off discount, then I would be picking some up for investing. Our third set to rank is going to be set number 96. Scrolling down on our table, that is the dried flowers centerpiece. Only 3 mentions and a pretty low enthusiasm score of 1.7. That's kind of interesting because the first and only botanical set that has retired, which is this Bird of Paradise, has had a pretty nice pop already on the secondary market. It's only been 6 months. A lot of people pick this set up for between $50 and $70, so that is a nice return on investment so far. Looking at the dried flower centerpiece, it's a cool looking set. It's definitely unique for the botanical line, which is kind of true of this Bird of Paradise set. And we just found out a couple of months ago that this set is being pulled forward and is now expected to retire at the end of this year instead of the end of next year. So I do expect the number of mentions and enthusiasm score to creep up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to go crazy on our table. Less than a 2-year shelf life seems really good for a botanical set when the original flower bouquet has been out since 2021. $50, 812 pieces. You know, a lot of great little unique pieces in here. And then a 4.4 on Brickset. We've seen this on sale a lot for at least $40. We'll probably get some good opportunities to go into the 30s. And then remember, on Amazon, the sales velocity on these botanical sets is crazy. The orchid, 8,000 a month. Wildflowers, 5,000 a month. The bonsai tree, 7,000 a month. The original flower bouquet is still doing 5,000 a month. Tiny plants, which isn't the best looking set, is 7,000 a month. And then if we keep on scrolling down, yeah, the dried flower centerpiece is only doing 1,000 a month, but maybe that means that it's flying under the radar a little bit. 1,000 isn't bad on demand. It's just not keeping up with the other ones, obviously, but I still think there's going to be some demand there. So I'm going that this one's a little bit of a sleeper, but again, I'm going to be looking for an excellent discount. I'm also going to put this one in the first loser category. Poor set to look at is 21 on our table. That is the John Deere small tractor, 14 mentions, E-score of 2.2. I think that is on the money right there at a good price. I do want to invest in this one. Here it is. It came out in 2022, a nice little looking set, almost a 3-year shelf life. The tractor is fantastic. The wagon trailer is only okay, but all of the branding and licensing looks great. Of course, the classic John Deere green and yellow is awesome. But as you guys know, I really like the larger John Deere skidder. This one is $200. Definitely have to get it on sale, but tons of great pneumatic action features. And then if we put in John Deere to brick set, we see that there are only 3 total. So LEGO just started producing licensed John Deere sets back in 2022, and then the skidder came out in 23, and then this new forage harvester that is not retiring at the end of this year came out in 2024. I think because these are a new licensed theme in the Technic line, and they are farming and construction related, I think they do have a really good chance. And of course, the classic John Deere colors that I mentioned make them really stand out and are really awesome looking. So I think these have a really good shot. I'm putting this one at the top of the first loser tier. And that is DG Bricks texting me that he's ready to record one of our podcasts. So I'm going to tell him to wrap this video up, and then I'll be ready to do one of those. Our next set up is number 37 on the table. We've already done that one. I knew it. This random number generator keeps picking the same numbers over and over, but we'll go one above, which is the Millennium Falcon. It's the play scale set that's been out since 2019. $170 seems pretty steep. Yes, a 4.4 on brick set, and yes, 7 nice minifigures with a couple of them exclusive. But the problem with the Millennium Falcon, same issue with the X-Wing, the TIE Fighter, and even the Slave One, is that when we put Millennium Falcon into brick set, we see that 38 matches come up. The first one came out in 2000, and LEGO has produced Millennium Falcons like clockwork every 2 to 3 years, and so there are a ton of them out there, and when this one falls off the shelves, the next one is coming. Now, I will point out the next one we already know is the Dark Falcon. This one is so unique that there could be some interest with this one, but it won't be long until we get another gray standard play scale Millennium Falcon behind it. Because of all that, I got to put this one in the bottom tier. Sixth set to rank is number 128 on our table. We scroll down, and that one is Gingerbread Ornaments. One mention, enthusiasm score of 2. It is a LEGO exclusive. That's why I have LEGO in parentheses after the set name. I hate to say this, but this is going to be a pretty easy one to rank. I know that some Christmas sets do really well, but this one is not. Yeah, it's nice, it's adorable, but it's basically just a small parts pack that you can throw any design that you want together. There's nothing unique or special about it. So obviously on the tier list, it is another one for the bottom rank. Now let's take a look at the 6th set on our list. This is going to be a good one because it's high on the table, and that is the Boba Fett mech. A really high 19 mentions. Not the best enthusiasm score for being 6th on the table, only a 2.3. Yeah, I see there's a 2.1 and a 2.3 around here, but more often than not, you're looking at 2.5 or higher in the top, 10 to 15 on the table. But I've really come to like these mechs a lot. I think they are still sleepers in the investment community, even though they are getting talked about a lot more these days, but they still have pretty low ratings on Brickset. This one is at a 3.8. 16 bucks is really expensive. Less than a year and a half shelf life. We've already found them on sale. I expect we'll be able to find them for $9 or $10 after stacking discounts and promos at some point before they go into retirement later this year. This Boba Fett mech looks awesome. It's my favorite of the 3. Definitely looks like something Boba Fett could have, even though these mechs don't exist in the actual Star Wars universe. But we do have to look at this Boba Fett minifigure that is great. Arm printing, the helmet is fantastic. All the details on the torso. And then we've got the hip, leg, and toe printing. What an awesome minifigure. And so far, it is exclusive to this set. Here are all the mechs. The Darth Vader is decent, Boba Fett is awesome, Stormtrooper mech is pretty good, and then the new Luke Skywalker X-Wing mech is awesome. This one just came out, not expected to retire at the end of this year. I really hope LEGO makes a few more of these. They may not because they haven't been overly popular in terms of sales volume, but I think they're going to do well, possibly after a little longer of a hold time, but it seems like the first wave of new Star Wars sub-themes historically do quite well. So with all that said, I'm taking a flyer here, but I'm putting the Boba Fett mech in the top tier. The 8th set to pick from our list is number 47, and that is The Office. Ooh, what a good one. Only 8 mentions, a kind of low 2.1 enthusiasm score. It is a Walmart exclusive, but just like the dried flowers set, this one also got moved forward on retirement, so we have 6 more months and The Office is gone. Because of that, I expect the mentions and enthusiasm score to climb up this table, not into the top 10 or 15, but probably top 25. This is such a great set. I know that it looks like all of the other sitcom sets, just a square floor and scene, which, you know, is kind of boring, but this one is awesome because of all of the minifigures. LEGO went almost all out. There's a few more characters I'd love to have in minifigure form, but they have the 15 main characters from the Office series all packed in this set. And then of course a bunch of references and Easter eggs all packed into the build. 4.4 on brick set is really good. $120 doesn't seem bad, especially when this is a set that will obviously be on sale multiple times from Walmart. It hasn't been much yet, but I think it will be before it retires. Under a 2.5-year shelf life is pretty good. The most recent comparables to look at are the Friends apartment, 180 to 250. I wasn't excited about this set, but once Matthew Perry passed away, I think the demand for it increased. And then we've also got the Seinfeld set that retired in 2022, 80 to 84, but people were getting this set for $40 or $50. The first sitcom set, Big Bang Theory, is $60 up to $188. I don't expect The Office to do the same, but The Office is one of the most popular shows in the history of mankind. It's one of my favorite shows. So I think this one will outperform Seinfeld a little bit. It seems like The Office is a little more recent, a little more fresh in people's minds. There's still talk of a movie or a reboot or something. It seems like those rumors ebb and flow, but as long as those rumors are out there, I think the demand and buzz around this set could still be there. And of course, if anything like that ever does get produced, then I think this one will get a really good pop. So I'm going to put this one in the first loser bracket behind the John Deere tractor. Next number up is 87 on our list. That is the Batcave Shadow Box. 4 mentions, a low 1.5 enthusiasm score. It is a LEGO exclusive. I agree with these metrics. Very unlikely I invest in it unless I find a random copy for $200 or $150, which I know would be a steal and absolutely unlikely. I think it's an awesome concept. I think the build is great. Yes, it's all black and gray, but for Batman, it makes sense. How it opens up, all the interior details are great. It's a 4.4 on brick set for a reason. So clearly people who really want this set have loved it, but I think the demand overall is pretty low. Only 1,400 people on brick set own it. 2,200 do want it, so there is a pretty good want to own ratio there. But at $400, I just don't see much room for it to grow in value. I don't see people wanting to pay $600, $700, $800 for something like this. But again, I do commend LEGO for coming up with a really unique concept to have a very large detailed display of the Batcave that also has a really unique display feature, being that it's a shadow box. But with the low demand and high price point, I gotta put it on the bottom tier, but I'll put it on the top of the bottom tier. Now on to number 20 on our list, which is Speed Champions 1970 Ferrari 512M. A solid 14 mentions and a solid 2.4 enthusiasm score. Remember, that is out of a max 3.0. I like this one a fair amount. It's a really cool build. It looks great in the Speed Champions lineup because it is a unique shape. It's an old classic from 1970. But the problem with this set is it was originally expected to retire at the end of last year, and it would have had a really solid just over a 1.5-year shelf life, but now it's just over 2.5 years. I still think it's good because it's at the original 8 stud wide $20 price point, so it feels like we're already getting it on a discount, and it's been for $16 a lot. I'm waiting to see if we can find them, at the last minute for $10 to $13. We already looked at the list of Speed Champions and showed how they all go up in some value, and they're kind of still evergreen sets. But this one just feels a little stale to me at this point, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's flying under the radar, but still, I think it's a little bit stale and the demand is wearing off. So I'm going to put this as a mid set. Next random number is 78, and on the table, that is the amazing Spider-Man art piece. An enthusiasm score of 2.3. That's pretty good, but only 4 mentions. I'm surprised it has a 2.3. That seems high for this set. I am skipping this one for investing, mostly because it is ugly and it's $200. Crazy price point. Less than 1,000 brick set members own it and less than 1,000 want it. The demand just isn't there. Yes, the frame, the green details, and the white webbing look really good, but actual Spider-Man, not so good. That shoulder, I can't unsee. And then I've seen this hanging on the wall in the Lego store, and the head really sticks out. It's honestly just unpleasant to look at. The occasional licensed art set has done well in the past, but most of them have not. So this one is going on the bottom tier. 12th set to look at is number 171, bottom of our table, and that is the Hoopty. What a great set to rank. I'm sure this one is going to be a surprise and a mystery where I put it. Notice that it has an enthusiasm score of 0, but it has 10 mentions. That means that this set has 10 mentions against investing, and it hasn't had a single mention in favor of investing, even though it is a Target exclusive. Here it is in all its glory. What a thing of beauty, and the gray blob with a very large transparent orange canopy piece. Minifigures and the cats are kind of cool. $90 for 420 pieces. I won't waste your time. This one goes under the bottom if that was an option. The lowest I can do is bottom of the bottom. Hey, look, gingerbread ornaments, you weren't in last place. Now on to number 87 on our table. That's middle of the pack, and we've already talked about it, so we'll go to the next one up. BTS Dynamite. 4 mentions, E-score of 1.5. Seems totally reasonable. The BTS K-pop band is not too popular in my US market, but very popular worldwide. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are like, geez, we haven't even heard about these guys in a while, and the buzz is dying off. That's absolutely true. 1 or 2, or maybe all of them, I don't remember, but some of the band members had to do their Korean military time, but I think they're all planning to get back together sometime late 2025, if I recall. And so I do expect the buzz to pick back up a little bit. $100 for 749 pieces. Yes, 7 unique minifigures, but that's a high price tag. Not many members own it or want it, but if you see here, I own 9 of them, which is probably a little bit of a mystery. I picked up these 9 for $30 from Walmart at that price point, especially since they're retiring at the end of this year. I was happy to pick them up. I'm sure they'll sell for $70 after a year on the secondary market. So that'll get me close to doubling my money. I'm actually going to put this one in the mid tier for 2 reasons. One, because when the band does get back together and go on tour again, I believe there's enough worldwide interest in their music and in their persona and genre that there will be some demand. And also, I think this is a huge discount set, so we'll get many opportunities to get it on discount again. Our next random number is 122. That is Monster Jam Monster Mutt Dalmatian. I'd say a surprisingly low 2 mentions and a surprisingly low 1.0 enthusiasm score. 2 year shelf life, the standard $20 for these monster trucks. And now that I get a better look at this one, it's not the best looking vehicle. It looks a lot of fun to play with. Those semi-pneumatic tires, great suspension, but it's not like it's a great display piece. So this is definitely a set to be played with, which is awesome. If I were a kid, I would love to have a whole collection of these and I would have played with them like crazy. 1,700 members own it, but only 294 want it. So that's not great demand right there. Here are the other monster trucks that retired. The Megalodon, only $15 in retirement. El Toro, $16, and then Gravedigger, $18. Oh, so I thought one of these was actually doing okay, but I see the data and I changed my mind, which means on the tier list, I'm not going to completely kill this set. I'll put it in the 4th loser tier behind the Batmobile. 15 set to grab is number 94 on the table, and that is Zane's Ice Dragon Creature. 3 mentions, E-score of 2.0. I basically don't invest in Ninjago, but this one looks pretty cool actually. The only time I pick up Ninjago sets is when they are on super Walmart clearance. I break rule number 1 of Lego investing. I just buy them without doing much research, and you're supposed to have your hit list ready to go and, you know price points and know what you're looking for. I just go on the occasional whim with a Ninjago set. If I see something 50% off, and actually there were a couple recently that I got, and I'm looking around to see if I can find them, and I don't see them readily available in front of me. Oh yeah, they're way over there, and I don't see what set number that is, but it was some sort of dragon type set, and they were 50% off, and I said, why not? I know some Ninjago dragons have done well in the past. I'm not getting that vibe for this one. I think that has a slight chance that, again, the dragon is pretty cool, but the minifigures aren't the best, and none of them are exclusive. $100 does seem pretty steep for something with this number of pieces and size and detail and design. So I'm going to put it at the top of the fourth loser tier. Now on to the 10th set on our table, another high one, and that is Brickhead's Sonic Miles Tails Prower, my favorite Sonic Brickhead set. A really good 17 mentions and a fantastic 2.5 enthusiasm score. This is one of my favorite Brickheads retiring this year. It's not the main character. A lot of times a secondary character outperforms the main character, but also Tails here is adorable. So well designed in Brickhead's form. I know Brickhead's is blocky and sometimes that doesn't work out, but sometimes LEGO just hits the nail on the head, and this design is fantastic. It keeps the Brickhead blockiness, but also a lot of detail and shaping. I've chronicled many times how most Brickhead sets perform really well, and I've made this exact point before multiple times, but the Sonic and Lord of the Rings Brickheads remind me of last year's Minecraft Brickheads. All of these are already performing pretty well, especially the llama here. And then if we go to the old Minecraft, the original, this one's up from $20 to $102. This one's an easy one for me to rank. I am putting it at the top of the top tier. Hitting our random number generator, we come up with number 91. That is the Australia postcard. 3 mentions, enthusiasm score of 2. Seems about right. It is a LEGO exclusive. The set looks pretty decent. The postcards honestly aren't my favorite, which is kind of funny because I really like some of the smaller art sets that you can hang on the wall. This one has a 2-year shelf life, but only a 3.5. Yeah, over 2,000 members own it, but only 710 more want it. There's buzz around it because there are, 5 or 6 in the series. The first one that retired was the Paris postcard, $15 to almost $25. There's a lot of discussion that because this one did so well, the others would also likely do well. I think we have to be very careful here. This one's doing well because the Olympics, which are starting here in a couple of weeks, are in Paris this year, and it's the first one that retired in this sub-theme, so I'm sure the supply is very low. Now that the cat's out of the bag, I think the supply is going to be higher on the others, and so again, I'm going to be careful, and I'm not too excited about this set. So I'm going to put it at the top of the fourth loser tier. 58 is our next number. Scrolling up on the table, that is Sonic the Hedgehog Green Hill Zone. This is an idea set. 7 mentions. Most of those were earlier in the year, if I recall. I don't think this set has been discussed much at all recently. A very low 1.6 enthusiasm score, and for me, I think my enthusiasm score would be even lower. It was supposed to retire at the end of last year. It got delayed, so now it has a 3-year shelf life. 4.1 on Brickset. Now we're starting to get into a rating that's a little too low for my liking. $80. Yes, 1,100 pieces, but a bunch of tiny pieces. My main issue is that it only has one actual minifigure, and with the other Sonic sets, even though this one is exclusive to the set, I think it is, there are very similar Sonic minifigures out there, so I don't think this one is going to perform that well. The other figures that Brickset is referencing are all brick built. Those don't do anything for people on the secondary market in terms of collectability, desirability. I've never liked this set. I think it's ugly. I don't like how the diorama is open in the back. I like the dioramas, as you know, but this one you can see what is behind it. You know, if it's the wall where you display it or if you have other things in the room, just doesn't work for me. It's too linear. And again, now that it got pushed a year, the buzz has absolutely died off. So I'm putting this one at the bottom of the fourth loser tier. Next up is the 77 set on our table, City of Lanterns. 4 mentions, E-score of 2.8. This is kind of an interesting set to talk about. I love it. I've always loved it. $160 for almost 2,000 pieces and 9 minifigures. 7 of them are exclusive. The minifigures are pretty cool, and the Monkey Kid theme of 4.4. Yeah, 3-year shelf life, something to keep an eye out on. But look at all of the colors and details and great pieces. As shown on the back of the box, it's got kind of a modular build experience to it, so you can rearrange a lot of these elements and make different designs. Here's one of the ones that they suggest. Obviously not as substantial as the original build, but a lot of great playability, and I love the teal roller coaster pieces with the red roller coaster cars. With only 4 mentions, I still think this one is flying under the radar. That 2.8 enthusiasm score is good by me. And remember, there are other great building and landscape Monkey Kid sets if you want to make a large Monkey Kid scene. Heavenly Realms retired and had a pretty good pop. This Dragonese Palace is awesome looking, and then we've got the Fruit Mountain and Megalopolis City. This is definitely a gamble set in my opinion, but my hunch is it's going to do pretty well, so I'm going to put it at the top of the first loser tier. Next random number is 57. That is the Yavin 4 Rebel base. 7 mentions, E-score 1.7. The 7 mentions are because it is a Star Wars set. If it wasn't Star Wars, this would have like 2 mentions. I agree with the 1.7 enthusiasm score. If you can get it on a really good discount, discount, like below $100, then maybe there's some opportunity there. But $170 for just over 1,000 pieces is crazy. Yes, it has 12 minifigures, 7 of them are exclusive, but with how ugly the build is and how many pieces go into the build, and obviously the price point, these minifigures are not going to carry it at a standard discount. It's got to be a crazy good discount. Yes, less than a year and a half shelf life, but overall, I'm still not excited about this one. I'll put it towards the top of the fourth loser category. Next set is number 151, pretty low on our table, and that is the Botanical Garden. Only one mention, enthusiasm score of 1. Yeah, there's no buzz around this set, but it is a really cool build and lots of cool foliage, elements, and features. A 4.7 on brick set, year and a half shelf life. I truly believe this one is flying under the radar. I know friend sets don't get a lot of love from investors, but there are a few of them out there that do pretty well. Just look at all the cool interior plant and foliage detail, and then some of the elements that can be taken off and moved around. I mean, there's a lot of good with this set. I'm not going to go crazy, but I'm going to push towards a more positive ranking for this set and put it right in the middle of our tier list. Our 22nd set is number 114. That is Main Street. I think that's the Creator 3-in-1, right? I'll remember when I look it up in a second. 2 mentions, enthusiasm score of 1.5. Yeah, this is the set I was thinking of. $140. Yeah, almost 1,500 pieces, but only a 3.6 on brick set. I've actually picked up a few of these, but they were like $54, I think, at Walmart. And at that price, I'll get them for the pieces if I can't resell them. But outside of that, there is no chance in the world for this set to grow in value. Most Creator 3-in-1s don't do well. You occasionally get one that does perform well. Here's a couple of examples. The crocodile that retired at the end of 2022, $30 up to $40. And then this awesome fish tank, also retired 2022, $30 up to $47. But if you were to look through at all of the Creator 3-in-1s, the occasional set that does well is the much lower price point, $140 price point for Creator 3-in-1. Number one, I think it is overpriced to be buying for building and playing with, but definitely way too expensive as an investment set. Another easy one goes into the bottom tier. The next set to look at is number 142. That is the Pagani Utopia from Speed Champions. I actually like this vehicle a lot. Only one mention, enthusiasm score of 2. Geez, is that flying under the radar? Or is it because the newer Speed Champions are just way too expensive at the $25 and $27 price points? Less than a 2-year shelf life isn't bad. $25 price point is expensive. The new $27 price point is way too expensive. 4.2 on brick set is decent for a more expensive set. 7,000 members own it. Another 1,500 want it. The demand is decent based on those metrics. I normally don't like gray and Speed Champions, but this vehicle, this design is spot on. For personal collection, this is one of my favorite. It's got to be flying under the radar a little bit. I'm going to assume that we're going to be able to get it for $16 to $18. So with that assumption, I'm going to put this one in the mid-tier, actually above the 1970 Ferrari, just because, again, I think this one's getting a little stale on buzz. All right, 2 sets to go. Our 24th set is going to be number 23, and that is another Sonic Brickheads, the 2-pack Knuckles and Shadow. 13 mentions, a great 2.6 enthusiasm score. The buzz on this one is also really good, and actually a slightly higher enthusiasm score than Tails, even though Tails has more mentions. Super cool looking Brickheads figures, less than a year shelf life is fantastic. Same story as Tails. I'm going to put it just below Tails because I like the single pack Brickheads slightly better than the multi-packs, but I think another one that does really well in the secondary market. And the random number for the last set in this video is number 45, and that is Miles Morales versus Morbius. Kind of a letdown for the final set in the video. 9 mentions, but a very low 1.3 enthusiasm score. It's a stripped down Speed Champions vehicle. Yeah, it has a bunch of cool details on it, but not as well designed as Speed Champions, obviously, which is fine for a set like this, with a couple of decent minifigures. 2-year shelf life, $25 seems very expensive. I know Speed Champions, you get the car and only one minifigure, but again, the design and engineering that goes into the Speed Champions vehicles is pretty awesome. This one is clearly just a really good play set, but a low 3.6 on brick set. Pretty much all Marvel sets have dried up on the secondary market. There is very little potential for Marvel these days. Now, Spider-Man does help it. Spider-Man is the best part of Marvel, in my opinion. There have been a lot of good Marvel sets out there, but there's just very little buzz and no demand. And so I don't think this one's going to do well either. I'm going to put it at the bottom of our mid tier. All right, those those are the final rankings for the 25 random sets in this video. Take a good close look. Give me some comments on where you agree and more importantly, where you disagree. It's fun to see everybody's opinions. That was a lot of fun making my second tier list video. I'll do another one just like this one very soon. Thanks a lot for watching. That's a wrap, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, and don't forget, my videos are for entertainment purposes only. I do not provide financial advice. You got to get that from somebody else.